Hey everybody, Karen here today, and we are live with Robin McCrum, and our special, look at my glasses sitting up there by my eyebrows, what is going on? Our special guest, ScrappinAbby, is joining us today to bring awareness to something she has to deal with on a daily basis. So, Abby, are you ready to start it?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to all go to Abby.
Okay. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Okay, I have a nervous laugh. I'm sorry. I'm trying to stop. Okay, so you want to just
That's fine.
Say what I have and how I got it and that kind of just do that? Okay. So, for those of you who don't know me or follow me, I'm ScrappinAbby on YouTube, and I have a whole playlist on my YouTube channel for trigeminal neuralgia is what I have, and for the sake of not saying that, $25 word all the time, we just call it TN for short. And I have about 12 or 15 videos on that playlist now sharing my journey and my story with it, and it's been hard at first because if you watch my videos, you always see my hands when I make projects and stuff. I don't really do face videos that often. So it started for me Tuesday, August 26, 2014, and I remember that day because that was the day I woke up and my life was forever changed. And I woke up with initially like a stiff neck on the left, deep burning pain in my ear, and some little like zappies on the left side of my face. And I just chalked it up to sleeping on my neck wrong or something, and I ignored it. And then about a week later, it wasn't getting better. So my girlfriend at work told me, well, maybe you have an ear infection. And I never had one. My kids never had one. I'm like, well, maybe. So I went to the urgent care, and they didn't see anything, but they gave me antibiotics and said, if you don't feel better in a few days, call your doctor. So that process repeated itself for approximately 6 weeks. And my doctor was out of town, so I had to keep seeing different doctors. And one of them even treated me for shingles, and I knew I didn't have shingles because I didn't even have a rash or anything, but they kept, they were assuming it was a really bad ear infection or sinus infection or something. So then my doctor gets back, and then he saw the laundry list of medications I had been given, and he said, no, it's not an ear infection or anything. We need to send you to the ear, nose, and throat doctor. So I go to see him, and then at that appointment, he told me that he felt it wasn't anything related to ear, nose, and throat, and that it's neurological. And so he said that the first thing we need to do is rule out MS or possible brain tumor. So they sent me for some imaging, and thank God it was neither one of those things. And so that's when he had said, I suspect you have trigeminal neuralgia. And so until he said that, I had no idea what that was. I'd never heard of it. And I come from a background of nursing. I was an OBGYN nurse for 7 years. And you hear a lot of different diseases and stuff. You don't hear everything, of course, but I just never heard of that. I knew what it meant, just breaking down the words, but I didn't know really what it was. So basically what it is everybody has at the base of your brain, I have notes so I don't forget, because sometimes I forget things. You have the ganglion right here is where your trigeminal nerve starts, and it's 3 for tri. My pain's on my left side, so I'm going to touch on my right because I can't touch the left side of my face. So it comes off your face and branches like this. And you have 1, 2, and 3. And then the first branch is, it covers your eyes and your forehead area, and they call that occipital neuralgia. And then the second branch is the cheek, your cheekbone, nose, and your top teeth. And then the mandibular, which is the third, is the bottom teeth, chin, and jaw. And unfortunately, I have pain in all of those areas. And before I had brain surgery, my pain was mostly in the bottom half of my face, and then post-brain surgery, it's the whole left side of my face. So I was getting symptoms of like somebody was literally stabbing my face with like pins and needles. And like I'm sitting here, and I feel like there should be something like a hot poker sticking out of my ear right now, and somebody just standing here just poking me in the face like this. It's just non-stop pain. Sometimes it drops me to the floor, and it has before when I was still working. My co-workers thought I was having a heart attack or something. They didn't know what was going on because I just like dropped to the floor because it hurts so bad and you can't talk, and you're in bed for days and whatnot. And so that was the pain I'd been dealing with all day, every day, trying to work, trying to, be a mom. I have 2 kids. My son's 21 now. My daughter just turned 17. But at the time, my son still lived at home because he was in his, he was just getting out of high school, going to college. So I was trying to be a mom and a wife and work and all that kind of stuff, and all this pain. So then they tried a whole gamut of medications, and none of them worked for me. They usually try to treat you with like a nerve pain medication, which is used for seizures. Gabapentin is one of the top ones. Tegretol is another one. And then they tried, Baclofen, which is a really strong muscle relaxer. So just imagine me taking over 3,000 milligrams of gabapentin, which makes you feel like you have, lead in your feet and you're walking in sand or something. And I'm taking a muscle relaxer 3 times a day, trying to function at my job. I was an administrative assistant for the school district at this point, and I wasn't nursing, so there's no way I could do a nursing job that medicated at all. But so I was trying to function and live and be medicated and still have that deep, burning, stabbing, shocking pain. I would have put up with the medicated drunkenness if it would have taken away some of the pain, but it didn't. And so my husband said, this is enough. This is not working. We need to figure something else out. So they sent me to a neurologist, and he basically just said, yeah, I don't know what to do for you. I can increase your medication. Good luck, goodbye. And that was really it. And he seemed very disinterested. And unfortunately, there are thousands of people who have this that meet doctors who are exactly like that. Thank God that was the only one I ever encountered. And then I was referred to Dr. Kim Burchell up at OHSU. I'm from Oregon. We just moved to Florida. So it's Oregon Health Sciences University. It's a really huge teaching facility. And Dr. Burchell is, if you live on the West Coast, he is the guy to see for this. And so I luckily got in with him really quickly because of a girlfriend of mine who actually has the same thing. And she was a prior patient. And so he saw me. And as soon as I filled out the questionnaire, they have you fill out this questionnaire before you get there. And the way they diagnose you is 100% by patient symptoms and what way we describe it, because it's invisible. You can't see it. And so he sent me for a 3D MRI and a CT scan. I had that done on December 23rd, 2014. And we saw him later that afternoon to discuss the results. And then he said, as I suspect, you do have trigeminal neuralgia, TN1. And he said, all medications were a fail for you. He said, so we need to just go straight to doing brain surgery. And I was like, what? Because I was hoping there was going to be like maybe another pill, or I didn't know, something. And he said, we just needed to do that. So they didn't see a true compression. And usually when you have the pain, I'm kind of skipping around. I'm sorry. I'm trying to tell my story part first. But when you, I'll get into when I'm done with this part about what causes, how you get it. And so they didn't see a compression on my trigeminal nerve, meaning an artery over top of the nerve on the brain. And that's what causes the problem. But he said that he could see a large artery that was across it, but it wasn't being compressed, meaning pressed down. So he said the surgery they do, it's called MVD, microvascular decompression. And basically what they do, they just go in and they decompress that nerve. And they do that by putting a piece of Teflon in between. So it's like you have the brain right here, and then you have your trigeminal nerve, and then your arteries that run around. And then when it gets compressed onto the trigeminal nerve, it's pressing on it. And it's like having a pinched nerve, but in the brain, I guess is a bit easy way to say it. They go in there with a piece of Teflon, and they put that in there and acts as a buffer, and it stops that pain typically. Because each nerve is covered with a myelin sheath. It's like a covering. It's like a pipe cleaner is the best way they described it. And when those little fuzzies are worn off or missing or damaged, when you get to the metal rod, that's the raw nerve it's exposed, and that's what causes the deep, sharp, stabbing pain. Well, I didn't have a compression, but he said that once he got into my skull, that if they didn't see it at a compression, because sometimes the imaging doesn't always show a compression. You have to actually go in and see it. And he said, if we don't see one, this is what I want to do, and it's called a neurolysis, basically where they comb or fray the nerve, and it's to irritate it enough to where it damages it and it's not going to cause that pain. And so I said, okay, that sounds great. And so he did that, and I was scheduled for surgery on March 2nd of 2015. And of course, before that, I had to go do a ton of different testing and blood and all that kind of stuff, because it's pretty, it's serious, or cutting open your head. And so I had the surgery on a Monday. I spent the first day, first 24 hours in ICU, and then I was in the hospital for a week on the neurological surgical floor up in Portland. And for the first hour after surgery, they come in and they make you smile and stick out your tongue to make sure. It's like what they do for stroke victims. They want to make sure that you can still function properly, and they can address an issue right after that. And
I have a question, Abby.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't have been able to pass them tests that they want to see that you can still have, use of, would they have had to take you back into surgery?
If he said that sometimes it's damage. That's kind of like a cause and effect of having the surgery. It's kind of like a risk a little bit that you could have facial droopiness, you could have loss of sensation on your face, and that's a trade-off that all of us are willing to take because the pain is so horrific. But I don't know. Yeah, so sometimes they will take it. I think it's dependent on the person and what other medical issues they have going on. Sometimes they can go back in and maybe see if they can do something surgically to repair it. But once the nerve is damaged, it's just damaged, and that's really all they can do. So when I woke up from surgery, I was like freaked out because my face, from the left down, I mean, it's dead center. It's dead center. I woke up and I felt my face wasn't drooping or anything. I have pictures. My husband was there. But if I felt like my face was like somebody just shot me full of Novocaine or something, and I was panicking, thinking, "Oh my gosh, what have I done? Is my face can be numb like this for the rest of my life?" I mean, I had sores in my cheek because I was biting my cheek. I didn't even know I was. I had sores on my tongue at first when I first got home because I would have like tea or broth or something, and I still have no taste on the left side of my mouth. It's numb. I can't feel or taste anything. But it does get less and less as time goes on. And I knew that going into it, and that's the trade-off, is you're going to have a little bit of numbness. So mine did get a little bit less for sure. I think it was about 2 weeks after surgery when I felt like I could, move my face a little bit better and that kind of stuff. And then what happened, unfortunately for me, 3 weeks post-op, all of my trigeminal pain came back. So I had no pain for about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, as far as the stabbing and shocking in my face. Of course, I had, pain from the surgery because they shaved this. All of this part of my hair was shaved off completely. My incision is about that long, but it's curved, and I have an indent about that big at the base of my skull. And I'm trying not to be too graphic. I don't make anybody sick or anything, but they closed my skull with medical grade cement is what they called it. They didn't have to do titanium plate, luckily, because I was worried about that. And because I have one of the ladies I met in my chronic pain support class, she actually had her screws come loose and she had to go back in for surgery. And so that terrified me. I was like, I do not want to have, you really have your screws loose, literally, is what she would joke and tell us in class. But so I started having that pain came back, and we called him, and he said, "Oh, sometimes that's kind of normal. The numbness kind of your face is the nerves are trying to reconnect, and it's just kind of normal." And we were like, okay. And then about 4 weeks, 3.5, 4 weeks post-op, I started having the sensation that there were bugs crawling on my forehead, and like I was constantly swiping away cobwebs that wasn't there. And I started having burning like in my nose, which I never had before, and then more intense pain in my eye. And I was like, what in the heck is going on? So my husband was concerned. They got me back in at 4 weeks post-op to see what was going on. And at a point, unfortunately, I was diagnosed with anesthesia dolorosa, which is an extremely rare secondary facial pain that you can only get as a result from a failed brain surgery, which is what happened to me. And typically it's only in people in their 60s and older. So my neurosurgeon sat there and he almost had tears in his eyes because he had said that he did not anticipate this outcome for me at all. He said, you're in the less than 1% category because you're under 60, you don't have MS, you don't have cancer, you don't have some other type of illness that would be a conflict of this. He said, unfortunately, your body's wired so differently. He said, weirdly, he said, don't be offended by that. And I was like, I'm not. He said that your body took the surgery as an attack instead of as a help. And there's no way nobody would have known that until I did the surgery. Now, I've had lots of people ask me, do you regret having the surgery? And absolutely not, because when you are hurting as bad as you're hurting, you will do anything possible to get out of the pain. So it was worth the risk to me to do it. Of course, I don't like having two facial pains, but I tried. And so how you can get it, for me, mine was completely organic, meaning I just woke up and that was it. That's what happened. Other people, my support groups, they have it because they've had a dental procedure that went wrong, like the dentist drilled down too far during a root canal or something, and they hit that trigeminal nerve. Because remember, I was telling you, it's on 3, it's on the branch right here. So there have been people who have been to the dentist, and because the dentist was inexperienced, or I don't know the reasons, that their nerve was damaged. And I have another gal I met online, and that's how she got hers. If you have MS, you are more prone to it. If you have some type of cancer, you're more prone to it. And then if you had some type of head trauma, like a car accident or something like that. And those are the basic causes of trigeminal. Now, I'm completely condensing this because I could talk to you guys' face off like for hours, and I don't want to bore you with that. So if you look at the videos on my YouTube channel, my playlist, I kind of broke them down so they weren't super long, and I kind of go in a little bit more detail as far as like my reactions from some of the medications and that kind of stuff. But that's kind of it in a nutshell. So then I went back to work 12 weeks post-op, and I started half days at first, and I went back to work, and I'm still having my full force of facial pain back, and then dealing with the anesthesia dolorosa pain. So basically it's AD is what we call it. It's painful numbness, which sounds ironic because it's like, if it's numb, how could you have pain? But you do. It's in so sorry, I was looking, we're in a tornado or a hurricane, and I have my phone on, and my a warning just came by, so I'm sorry about, I got distracted for a second. And I tried to work and function as much as I could. There are lots of people who have it that don't work, they can't work. And I was stubborn and determined because I was so frustrated, because the first year I had this, I missed my daughter's freshman year of volleyball, and I had never missed my kids' events ever. And so I missed Thanksgiving and holidays and stuff. And so I was like, I was really determined to not let it steal anymore from me. So I was trying to work, and my coworkers were like, you need to go home, you don't feel good, and and I'm like, I never feel good. If I didn't work, I would, because I don't feel good, I would never do anything because I never feel good. And so it was getting to where, and I'm not sleeping, I still don't, but trying to work and live life as much as you can and stuff. And so it was getting worse and worse for me. And my primary doctor kind of took over the care because my neurosurgeon was about 2 hours away from where I live. So they worked together, so I didn't have to travel so far. And I was starting to get like dark circles under my eyes, and I wasn't sleeping hardly at all, and I could hardly eat because it hurts to eat and all that kind of stuff. And I was just making myself sicker and sicker. And so my doctor talked to me in September of last year, asked me to consider going on medical leave. And I was like, oh, I'm not ready to do that. I was just determined, like, because I don't want to do that right now. I'll just try to keep going and going. And I was missing more and more and more work. And that wasn't the issue. My employer was amazing. That was not an issue at all. I could be off whenever I wanted, as long as I wanted. And but I was just stubborn because I was determined to not let it take something else from me. And it got to where I couldn't even hardly function. I was sitting at my desk, and I couldn't remember what I was supposed to do because I was so tired and I hurt. And so I was the help desk for the tech department, so for a school district of like 5,000 plus. So I would get, my phone would ring constantly, and I got to where I can't hold a phone or anything to the left side of my head. I talk on my phone on speaker now, so I'm trying to do this, hold it up, and then write, and then people walk in, and you don't feel good. So most of the time my face is kind of like, I look like I'm ticked off or something, and I'm not. It's just because my face hurts, and you scowl because you don't feel good. But you can't look like that to people because they're not going to know why you're doing it. They're going to think you're upset at them. And the last thing I want to do is ever make somebody uncomfortable or anything like that. So it was a real struggle for me to try to keep working. So in January, my doctor talked to me, and he said, okay, he goes, how about if we just he wanted to take me off for 16 weeks. And I said, no, it's too long. And he said, okay, so we negotiated down to 6 weeks. And then I went back at that 5-week appointment, and he said, you're not better. And so he kept me off, and I couldn't return. And I had to resign because we moved, like I said, from Oregon to Florida. So I'm not able to work. They won't medically release me to work. Even my doctors here won't. So I established care at the new neurologist here saw her. She sent me to the Orlando neurosurgeon's office, and because she said that we have to see if there's something that we can do because your level of pain it's not acceptable. And so I met with Dr. Field, who is one of the main well-known doctors to treat this as well. Dr. Janetta is the physician who what's the word I'm looking for? He's the one that came up with the brain surgery that's successful for a lot of people. And the doctor I now see, he studied underneath him, so I know that he's knows what he's talking about. And so he saw me and he said kind of the same information. Unfortunately, there's no medication that would work for you. Doing any of the radio frequency treatments, which is like having gamma knife, cyber knife, and it's not a surgery. It's all radiology stuff that's just zoned in on your face. And basically, they go in with the radiation being concentrated, and they literally obliterate the nerve because they're trying to kill it and destroy it. And he said that. And I was not a candidate for any of those procedures before either. He said that's before I had brain surgery. And so he said that's not anything we want to revisit at this time either, because my new neurologist suggested it. And I'm scared to do anything because I don't want it to be any worse than what it is. And he agreed with me. So he's sending me for another 3D imaging. And then I have a CT scan too of the cervical neck, because he said he wants to make sure there's nothing new that has developed since I had my brain surgery, because I haven't had any imaging since then. And then after that, he said, we'll just have to kind of go from there, whether we toy with your medications a little bit more, or if there is something new that's popped up. You know, he goes, I don't want you to think that you have like a brain tumor popped up or anything new like that. He goes, I don't think it's anything like that. He just wants to make sure that there's not something else, maybe compressed or whatever, could be causing the pain, because I just have this deep burning ear pain, and I have a constant ring in my ear all the time too, and that's been since day one for me. So I don't know what else to say about that. Is there any?
Well, for a second, I would just like to say hi to Linda Gunn. Dawn is here with us. Our lovely May Larson's Design is here.
Hi, Linda.
May says she wish she could give you a hug, Abby. And
thank you.
May also says, I have to say, Abby, you are very beautiful. Hello to Sylvia, to Phyllis, to Robin. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, Robin.
Karen.
Sorry. Robin is here, guys. I know this. Our Moppy is here. Hello, Moppy. Tiffany, Shabby by Designs is here. Hello, Tiffany. Okay, so Linda says she is so related to what she is saying. Linda had a brain virus, paralyzed too, on her left side, and a dentist literally drilled through her nerve in her face. So she understands exactly what is going on with you, Abby.
Yeah.
And is there I know from just my little bit of research, and because as Robin told you this morning, until we met you, I was not aware of this. I've never heard of it before. I understand nerve damage because I've been there, done that. Until I had my neck fusion, the way the nerves affected me, you could not touch my skin. You couldn't touch my arms or my hands. I couldn't stand it. So I understand that. But from what I was reading about your situation and your disability, it was saying something about a breeze, eating, applying makeup, anything like that could trigger.
Did that,
you know, do I want to call it a session or trigger the disability? Would that be the right way to word it?
Yeah, or a lot of us call it TN.
Okay. It seems like just living life with your situation, everyday life would just be hard because you don't know if you turn around too fast or not, if it's going to start a session that may not, as I know in your case, end for days.
Yeah. Yesterday was an example. Because we're in the middle of a Hurricane Matthew warning in Central Florida. Well, actually, it's all of Florida, but I reside in Central Florida. So we had some things to go take care of yesterday, of course, getting supplies and whatnot. But I had, now I don't want you ladies to think I'm like gross or I don't clean myself or something. I'm not saying that, but there are some days that I cannot even get out of bed, and it's difficult for me to like brush my teeth or even to wash my face or anything. So I was waiting and waiting to wash my hair. Now, being African American, I typically wash my hair once a week anyway. That I'm supposed to, but I do about twice a week because our hair is so dry. But I waited, and so I washed my hair yesterday, and I was crying in the shower, and it's as probably as pathetic as it sounds, because even with the water not hitting my face, just the act of washing my hair and having just being up and doing that, it was so hard, and my face was just like it was stinging and stabbing me more. And I was standing in the bathroom, and my husband was like, "Are you okay?" Because he kind of knows when I stop talking. If I bend down, I kind of put pressure on my forehead. He knows that I'm having something. He doesn't try to make me engage with him because it makes it worse. And so had we not had to go out and do some things yesterday, I would have spent the day in bed. And that's really how a lot of my life is. And I know some people probably think like, well, gosh, you put up videos on your YouTube channel, or you go to the Dollar Tree and do these different hauls and stuff. But the thing is that whenever I get able to do that, then I'm in bed for the rest of the day or the next couple days or something. And I have a daughter that drives if I'm not able to drive, and my husband takes me and stuff. But it's like this, I've been crafting since I started about 21 years ago, as far as when I really delved into it. When I was pregnant with my son, it was something a girlfriend of mine introduced me to, and I've been hooked ever since, and just grown and grown and grown. And then there was a big portion of my life when I was married previously, and when we divorced, I had my son, who was 5, and my daughter was not quite, a little over 1. And so of course crafting and stuff took a back seat because you're raising your kids and working. And so I would literally, before this happened, I'm not even exaggerating to you, aside from my kids' at school functions and things like that, I was a attentive mom and a wife and all of that. But my kids were old enough at this point where I could kind of have my own time, because they were teenagers and they wanted to do their thing with their friends and etc. So I would get off of work and I would come sit in my craft room, and then I would craft for a little bit, go do laundry, get a fixed dinner, and go to my kids' games or something like that. And that's what I would do, like every day. Every day I crafted, whether it was for 6 hours or whether it was 15 minutes just to make something really quickly or something. So as soon as this hit me, it's like I didn't even want to do anything. I was at the point where I wanted to sell every single thing in my craft room. And when I confided that to one of my good girlfriends, because I didn't want to keep burdening, I felt like I was dumping a lot on my husband. And I have to tell you guys, I'm not saying this to this is genuine. My husband is amazing, and he has been so supportive and takes care of me and dotes on me and does everything for me. And I know there are so many people that have this that don't have that support at all with a spouse or family. A lot of them have said and shared in the groups that their families think they're making it up, that it's for attention because you don't see it. And and because nobody's heard of it. Like if I was to tell people I had breast cancer, you don't see it unless you see if I had a mastectomy or a biopsy or something, but they accept it because they know what it is. And I don't say that lightly. My mom's a double breast cancer survivor, as I shared before, and I'm not trying to compare what I have to cancer. I don't compare it to anything. I mean, I've had my girlfriend be like, I don't feel like comfortable saying I have a headache because of your pain. Everybody's pain is their pain. If you have a paper cut, I want you to tell me, gosh, my finger hurts. I'm not going to be thinking, oh, really? You should have what I have. I am not that way at all. And I totally lost track what I was saying. Oh, my crafting. So when I told her that, she knew that I was really suffering with some bad depression, and I've
You're okay, hon. You're okay. Take your time.
Because
It's all right, Abby.
Stop doing everything. you know, and I mean, a lot of people, they have this, the disease unfortunately has the nickname of the suicide disease, because there are a lot of people who end their life because you're hurt. I'm not suicidal. I never think that. I'm a Christian, and I don't, and I'm not dogging people who think those thoughts or do that. That's not my, I'm not judging anybody, but that's never, I just so you got ladies know, I don't have any, I've never had any thoughts of self-harm or anything like that. I've got kids and, you know, a husband and stuff, and I would never do that. But you get so low that you just don't want to do anything. You know, and it feels, and I always told my girlfriend, I said, you get on this ledge. I said, you know, and so the crafting is like what would help kind of bring me back, and doing my videos on my channel and stuff, and, you know, talking with my friends on there that, you know, leave me comments and stuff. I tell them all the time that you guys are all a part of my support circle, even though I don't know you like in real life and you're not physically here and stuff. You guys are what helps keep me from going off that ledge a little bit, because I am so freaking passionate about crafting, and purple, clearly everything's purple. I don't have purple on today because I'm wearing teal, because that's the color, but because you guys know purple's my thing. And so for almost a year after I had surgery, obviously before, you know, I couldn't craft right initially because I was still recovering. I couldn't hardly move and stuff in my head because it just killed me. But I didn't want to touch anything. And my husband, he'd be like, what if you just went and sat in your room for a little bit or something, just like maybe thumb through some papers? Or he goes, or how about if you feel up to it, I just take you to the craft store and you just kind of walk around, or if you want to buy something. He was trying to find things for me, because that's always been my thing. And I just didn't want to do any of it, because you just get so depressed and you get so tired. And fortunately, I've never had anybody question me, or to my face anyway, or in comments or anything like that, say, you know, I don't believe you, or, you know, how could you be doing these things, whatever. I would never do anything. And I refuse to curl up and give up, I guess.
Well, I think some people don't realize people deal with disabilities and stuff. Now, some of us are luckier than others, and that's just the fact of it. When we have good days, we have good days, and when we have them good days, we run with it. Mm-hmm. Because we know them good days are not going to last forever.
That's right.
We have to make do with what we can when we can. And yeah, we will pay for it later. But we're also determined that we're going to have some kind of quality of life too. And because you cannot see somebody's disability does not mean.
Abby?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
She says she's so glad she got here to join Abby the Warrior.
Yes, she is.
Because that's how we see you, my friend.
Thank you very much.
You are such an inspiration to so many of us, and especially now that we've heard, you know, your story. And I have the utmost respect and admiration for you, and I don't even know how to put it in words. You are magnificent.
Well, we appreciate that you are being a voice for this disability, especially because, you know, as Robin and I said, we weren't even aware of it. So there is not a voice. There doesn't seem to be an advocate out there for this. And maybe this could be your thing, your place. Maybe this is what you are meant to do, you know, because like you said, people who are aware of breast cancer, they're aware of leukemia, they're aware of heart attacks and strokes. This has been well known for years, even AIDS.
Right.
But your disability is not well known, and attention, when people have to live with a disability that is this severe and worse, attention does need to be brought to it so people can sympathize.
And it's also an invisible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, who can't see what you're feeling.
Yeah.
And, you know, it seems to me that it has the same, I don't know, stigma attached to it that mental health, you know, mental health issues do, because if you can't see it, then it must not be real.
Right.
You know, and that's one of the things that we're trying to help overcome here, is to bring awareness for people to realize that depression, and that's just a secondary problem for what you really suffer with. How could you not suffer with depression when you have this?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so life-altering that, you know, that's a real battle. And I think, Abby, I can honestly say you're one of the strongest women I've had the pleasure to meet.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And you are getting, in our little group chat over here, you're getting all kinds of hugs. It's on YouTube.
Oh, thank you guys.
All over the place. Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
It's a hug-a-thon.
Thank you so very much. I'm so appreciative that you asked me to be on here and that you're allowing me to share my story. And like I have said in my videos, and Karen and Rob and I were chatting before it went live, and I had said, this isn't about Abby. It's just that I happen to have it, and I want to talk about it. Now, I do have to give props to a friend of mine on YouTube, and I don't think I know she won't mind that I say her name, because she puts her stuff out there too. Her name's Monica, and her YouTube channel is BC Doula. She's Canadian, and she's a doula. That's why the name. Anyway, so I was online searching once I was officially diagnosed in late October of 2014. I was just scouring, trying to find out any information I could. You know, one of my best friends is the doctor I used to nurse for. You know, she was hitting up all the doctors that she works with, you know, in neurology and that kind of stuff, trying to get information for me. And I was looking on YouTube for videos, and every video I would find would be like from UCLA or a hospital or something, or a clinic or something that, you know, it was very clinical, medical, like a doctor's convention type of a thing. I had a hard time finding videos where it was just somebody, a regular person, just talking about what they had. Now, there are videos for occipital neuralgia. There's I found videos for people who have MS or a brain tumor, but those things weren't what I had, so it wasn't really as relatable to me, because mine wasn't because of another medical condition. So when I just kept searching, doing different keywords, Monica's video came up, and the first video I actually saw was the day she had her brain surgery, and I was so grateful and thankful that she was so willing to open up her life and share her story. That's what gave me courage to do it on my channel. And because, and I even said that in my first video I made for my brain surgery playlist, is that you know, I was really nervous and stuff, and because like I said, I'm always face down. It's like my hands you guys are looking at and stuff, and so I never talk about things like this on my Facebook or anywhere. I'm always about the happy and the crafty and spreading the purple love. And so I don't talk about personal things, you know, aside from having a cold or things like that. And so, but I did it because I was hoping that maybe I could maybe help somebody the way that she helped me, you know, try to do that. And so, and I've had other people in the support groups and stuff, you know, who aren't comfortable doing that, and that's totally fine. I respect that. They'll do blogs or whatever. And there are even ladies, a few videos I found. There's more now than there was when I first started looking, and I think that's awesome. And I'm not saying it's because of me. It's not. It's from people like Monica, who did it before I ever did. And they have filmed themselves when they've had attacks and stuff, and I don't want to do that. And there's nothing wrong with the people that do. I think that's actually helpful for people because they can see it, what it looks like, you know. I just don't want to do that. I kind of suffer in silence, I guess, is with that. But
Abby?
Yes, sorry, I'm rambling.
No, you're fine. May says that, yes, she understands. Well, Linda says, beyond brave to be here and tell us how she is feeling. It's not that easy. And no, we realize this is very difficult for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And May says, yes, it is an invisible wound. Her husband struggles with PTSD, and it's invisible. Mm-hmm. She said she knows that, you know, he sleeps a lot when he's depressed, and it's hard to get him out of that. So she can relate to what you're going through. And she said she thinks you're a super warrior.
Thank you very much, May. I appreciate it.
I think May makes an excellent point right there, but that she can relate to it just because of what's in her life and going on with her family. But I think a lot of people stop and just understand, if you see something off with somebody and you're thinking, well, they're having a bad day, I'm staying away from them. Well, maybe you want to stay away from them, but if they're also somebody you care about, you might want to actually reach out and say, hey, is everything okay? Because somebody might not have shared everything with you and you're not aware of it. And if they just say, I'm not feeling the best today, and that's all they want to tell you, then okay, fine, leave it at that. But if they want to share with you and you want to be a friend, and listen, because if you open that door, be prepared to stand in that doorway for your friend. Okay? Don't be nosy. Be prepared to be a friend if there is a friend in need. But just don't assume that, oh, somebody's just, in a bad mood. There are so many diseases and disabilities that are now coming out with new technology that is available to our science people. They're hidden disabilities. They are hidden diseases. They're not open sores and stitches and stuff that you can physically see. So maybe you need to, when you see someone having a bad day or something, just stop and think, is this their normal way that they usually act, or why haven't they been around? Is something wrong? Does someone need me? Just don't assume somebody's just being mean. Too many people want to be critical, and no one needs to be critical of somebody until they have proven themselves just to be a mean person, period.
Abby?
Yes.
Michi says, to find the ability to do what you do when you aren't feeling 100% takes warrior strength. That's why you are a warrior. And like Karen said, you are a voice for those who are trying to find their way in the dark. So keep shining your beautiful light and know you have a support group here to rally behind you. And that is absolutely 100% true.
Yes, it is.
So much.
We are here for you. And, if there are days when you just need to let loose, Karen and I, if you just want to cuss like a sailor and let us have it, go for it, baby, because we got it. We got this.
Because we have our days of having to let loose, don't we, Robin?
We certainly do. And, just know that we're here for you. I know that every single lady in this group is here for you. We want to do whatever we can to support you. And if you just need to call up and, just vent, you just vent, because we're here. Don't ever feel like you're alone, honey, because you're not. You are
I
not.
appreciate that. And I do feel that because I can't remember if it was the first episode you ladies did or the second, one of the first ones that I was able to be in the live chat. I had said to you guys that it's like, this is helpful for me. It's like therapy for me, because I love being able to listen to you ladies talking and laughing and sharing your crafty stuff, and you guys are all an extension of my support group. And I have to say, I did every single thing that I could possibly do within my power to try to help myself. I mean, they sent me to a pain clinic in Oregon, and all they wanted to do was marijuana is now legal in Oregon anyway, but I worked for the school district, and I didn't want to do that. I mean, for those who do it, I'm not judging anybody. For me, I didn't want to do that. And so, but I know it helps people, and I think that's wonderful. But they were, talking about that. They said we could slap a morphine patch on you or put a morphine drip in you and stuff. And they were listing up all these hard narcotics. And I'm like, I don't want that life. I work and I have kids and I'm a wife and, a friend and stuff. And I'm not faulting people who do use those things. Do it, because there are ladies I know in my support groups that do it. And you got to do what's good for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not judging anybody. I just know for me, I don't want to feel like I'm in a medicated coma, and I don't want to have a problem becoming addicted to narcotics, because that happens to so many people, all different types of chronic pains. Like Karen, you were talking about, with people who have just after a routine, not that your surgery was routine, I don't mean to imply that, but people who have a surgery and like maybe even having their appendix out or something like that, you know, and they get pain medication, sometimes you can just get hooked on it. And coming from nursing, I would see that, and I don't want to, I didn't want to do that. And so the pain clinic was not an option for me after a couple of visits. And so they had a chronic pain support class they started, because there are no support groups for what I have. Every time when I was looking, I would see them for cancer or, you know, leukemia, stuff like that. And I don't feel comfortable going to groups where people have something that's terminal or something that could potentially take their life. I'm not comfortable doing that, because I feel that that is not right, because what I have isn't going to take my life. And I'm not comfortable opening up and saying, you know, this is what I have wrong, when I'm sitting next to somebody who's, you know, fighting for their life because of cancer. And so I didn't want to be offensive to anybody, so I didn't go to any of those. And so my doctor's office, they just kind of formed it because there's such a need for all types of invisible illnesses, that they created this group for us. And it was a 10-week class, and I went, and I went every week. And it was out of town, but I went and stuff. And some of the things they taught me in that class, some of your coping skills or survival skills, is to try to focus and do things that make you happy, even if it's something as little as, you know, like one of the ladies, she had some kind of a spinal thing in her back that she could hardly walk at all. I felt so bad for her. She crochets, and that's what she would do. And just other different things, you know, playing piano for some people if they can, whatever. So crafting wasn't for me. And so that's what I tried to start getting back. That's what made me the turning point for me, because around Christmas was when I really kind of switched gears of like, okay, I need to really try to get myself out of this depressive state and try to get back in my room and stuff, because I was in bed for 8 days straight last December. I couldn't get up out of bed. It was awful. I was hurting so bad. And so doing the chronic pain support class, and then they had me see a pain psychologist too. And if you watch my videos, I'm not trying to plug my channel. I'm just saying I go into more detail. I just don't want to be.
Oh no, you plug away, darling.
No,
Away.
I just meant because I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information, I guess. So I delve into that more in those videos.
No, but it's important. I think it's very important that people are aware that some kind of information is out there, and if it's on your channel, then so be it.
Okay, thank you.
Because there isn't a lot of information out there like that. So if we need to send people to your channel, that's where it's going to go. That's not plugging. That is just a fact that somebody has information out there on videos, and this is where you need to go to see it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And Abby,
Mm-hmm.
Linda Gunn said, for me, I got so low, I could not for any reason lift my foot up over the threshold. I could not do it.
I can relate.
One day, I just had to make myself, and I used an excuse. I have to walk my neighbor's dog. The dog was home alone all day. I literally used the dog as an excuse. Had to get out with the dog. That was my lifesaver, that dog.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
May says, you can come to me too if you need somebody to talk with. And Dawn said, Linda, my dog saved me every day.
That's wonderful. And that's great to hear those kinds of stories, because those are things I can use as examples, you know, without providing people's names. I would never do that on my channel, but letting people know that maybe they don't want to craft, or they don't have some type of a hobby like that, but walking the dog, that's great that you focused on that.
Yeah, and I think that's what's important about, you know, even though each disability may be unique in and of itself, there are common bonds that every disability shares, you know.
Right.
The coping mechanisms, the way that, you know, people learn to deal with whatever they have to deal with, and, you know, it runs the gauntlet. I know there are several ladies here that, you know, are joining us today that have various disabilities and various issues that they deal with on a daily basis. So, you know, seeing your smiling face, you know, sharing what has worked for you, and when you guys share back and forth like this, it is, like you said, it is like a support group in a sense, you know, where everybody can say, hey, this is what I did and it worked for me, or have you tried this? And you just never know when that, you know, one little thing might make a difference for somebody.
Absolutely. And
That's true. Go ahead, Abby.
I'm sorry. In the different Facebook groups I'm in, and even in the actual class where I was in a room full of people, I was so heartbroken hearing all the stories of how husbands had left them, or, you know, one girl was engaged and her fiance broke up with her because, you know, she was always in pain and she wasn't fun anymore, or people lose their jobs, or their family and friends, like I said earlier, they don't believe them, they think they're faking it, or you just want attention. And it just breaks my heart that there are so many people out there who don't have that support, and that's where unfortunately those suicidal thoughts come in, and they do things for self-harm. And so I want to try to be a support even though I have it and I'm in pain all the time. I want to try to be a support to other people, not even with just what I have. I don't care what it is. If you got, like I said, if you got a paper cut and you want to say, yeah, my finger hurts, tell me no. I'll commiserate with you. I'm totally down with that. It's just everybody's pain is their pain, and you just can't judge anybody for anything. I can say, coming from nursing, you have a heart of empathy. You have to be empathetic dealing with patients. I mean, you don't have to be a nurse to do that, but I'm just saying that was my career for a while. And I have to say, me getting this back, what Karen had said earlier, it absolutely kind of kicks me in the butt of like, you know what, I shouldn't be so bent out of joint because that checker at the grocery store was a little bit snippy. How do I know that they didn't have something medically wrong, or maybe, you know, a family member was sick or something, you know, just trying to have a little bit more compassion and stuff. And so that's helped me with this too, of not being so quick to be like, well, what are you grumping at me for? I didn't do anything. And, you know, so.
Yeah, we never know what someone is dealing with in their life, you know.
No, and everybody has off days.
Right.
Everybody has a bad day. But one thing I do want to ask you, Abby, because, well, I know, when people are in pain, when you're dealing with pain, things just don't pop into your mind. You know, ideals just aren't right there to help, you know, and like you started crafting. Linda started walking a dog. I started crafting. The thing is, what can crafters do to help people in your situations? What how can we help for the awareness of this?
Well, one thing I'm working on that I had mentioned before we went live is I had reached out to the Facial Pain Association, and I should have reached out to him, like I mentioned, a couple months earlier than what I did, because I had this idea that on my channel, what I wanted to do was to connect to somebody there and ask if there was like a certain person designated, or maybe some type of a, you know, like how hospitals have like volunteers. I didn't know if they had like certain people at the facial pain places, and if there was somebody there, because if there was, I was going to ask my viewers on my channel if they wanted to make a card. It doesn't have to be teal or tan related, just, you know, some like a support card or something like that, and then have them mail them to me, and then I would bundle them all together and then send them off to the Facial Pain Association, and that way they wouldn't have to mess with all of that. And then those people could disperse them maybe to patients in the hospital who just had brain surgery, or, you know, maybe there are local support groups like I was a part of before I moved, and they could give it to the leader of that group or something. So that's one thing, that's the first thing I thought of for this year, but I haven't heard back from them yet. So I'm hoping to, once I do, I'll post a video on my channel about it, you know, for that. And Friday, October 7th is National Trigeminal Neuralgia Awareness. So that's why you're seeing me constantly just peppering my social media, my Facebook and YouTube, because I'm just trying to bring awareness for this week. So once this week's over, I won't be so much in your face with what I have.
Okay,
we don't like you being in our face. We kind of like it.
Anything that happens though, or changes, any new information that you do get that any of us crafters, if it's in our department or whatever that we like to do, if you would please keep us and our group up to date, so we make sure that we share that with anybody that would like to contribute in any way they could, we would appreciate that.
I will do that.
Because this disability is so, what is the word? It is an invisible disability, but it is also invisible to the public right now. It is so low key that so many people are not aware of it. If we can bring more attention to it in any way possible, we would love to help do that. Robin and I know you, we don't want anybody out there feeling alone. Everybody, no matter what it is, should always have some kind of support system.
I agree.
Abby?
Yes.
Moppy wants to know if children are also susceptible to this.
Yes, unfortunately there are. It's not really, it's like cancer. It's not discriminatory or like age category wise. It's just more commonly or typical, they say, with the elderly people or people who have MS or a brain tumor or something like that. But there are unfortunately kids who have it. Even with all the research I did before I even had surgery, there were reports that I saw of kids that were under like 15 months old that had it, were diagnosed. And that had been so difficult to try to, because they can't articulate what's wrong, And so, but there are kids, unfortunately, who have it, and it's teenagers too. It's really, a lot of teenagers are popping up with it too and stuff. And it's unfortunate that so many of our medical professionals aren't even educated in it at all. And I know a doctor can't know every single thing out there. That's why you have specialists, but they don't take the patient seriously. And I see that time and time again in all the various support groups I'm in, and these ladies will go to the ER doubled over in pain, because their face hurts so bad and they think you're just a seeker. There have been times I've been curled up on the floor, knocked to the ground, and my husband said, I'm taking the Bernstrom. And I said, I'm not going. They're not going to do anything. There's nothing they can do, and I'm not going to sit out there for hours to have a doctor who doesn't know me belittle me and devaluate my pain because you've never heard of it before.
Right.
It's like whip your phone out and Google it. I mean, you're going to see tons of places that talk about it, and they're
what is that? Fibromyalgia.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what caused it, how it comes about, and there's no one certain test, but they do acknowledge that it's there.
And
but what can they do for you is a totally different ball game.
Just to be heard is like, and I know this for me as well. Like I said, I have been so extremely blessed. With the exception of that one neurologist I saw, none of the doctors I've seen have ever made me feel like I was crazy or I was making it up or anything like that. But there are so many who don't have that type of experience, and just to be heard is so like, you're just like, thank you, and that makes you feel better, like emotionally. So a lot of people just connecting with the physician or whoever, saying, I've heard of this, or I think it might be this, or I'm listening to you. What can I do to try to help you? That's the biggest thing. And so when people talk about fibromyalgia, at least it's getting to be more. I mean, it's unfortunate that it exists anyway, just like cancer or anything else. But I guess a positive is that it's getting out there, and so people know more about it. And that's kind of what myself and Monica and all the other people who have TN and AD, what we're trying to do is to just bring awareness about it. And I was going to say real quick too, on the Social Security disability, they have a list of, they have it categorized for children and like for adults, and they have it broken apart by body system. Their list of official diseases that they deem are acceptable to receive Social Security disability. And they have some neurological listings, but of course trigeminal neuralgia is not on there, which I wasn't surprised. But there is a petition going around, and I shared it a while ago on my Facebook page, of where people are trying to sign this petition to get a certain amount of signatures to where they can bring it to their, I don't know the legislators, I don't know politics, stuff like that, but they'll bring it to some level, people are decision makers, to have the Social Security disability, put that on their list of disabilities, because there are people.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Because if you're a doctor, if you have a doctor, and then you have special surgeons, that are saying, you can't work, you can't do this, we won't allow you to do this. What more would you need? That's a disability. And right off the bat, you should qualify for that, because a doctor is not going to release you.
Right. And I can touch on that real quick if you don't mind. I'm not going to divulge a lot about me because it's personal, obviously, because I'm in that process per 2 neurosurgeons and my doctor back in Oregon. But I have all the documentation, all the paperwork. It says that, you know, I have anesthesia dolorosa, I have trigeminal neuralgia, I've had brain surgery, I've tried medications, they failed, I cannot work, they won't release me to return to work. Social Security disability, they don't care. Their job is to deny 95% of the applications for Social Security disability, no matter what it is you're applying for, are instantly denied, unless you are like, you know, have like a terminal illness or something like that. That's a little more serious, and they'll do that. So their job is to deny you, because they have you fill out so much paperwork. It's unbelievable how many times I had to keep writing out paragraphs, repeating myself from 3 questions ago. They don't care. They want you to do, and I did it. I mean, I must have had a 15-page double front and back. I filled out this initial process. It took me 4 hours straight on the computer to do the initial application.
They make it so difficult that
because they're scammers. Because they're fraudulent people. It's just like how it's hard to get narcotic medication because of people who abuse narcotic medication. We don't need it for legitimate reasons, but there are attorneys out there who that it's all they specialize in. And fortunately, with us moving to Florida, I have one here, and that's all they do. And you know, so they're working with me through that process. But even because I talked to them, and they first met with me, they're like, you know, we don't want you to be discouraged. They said, we think it's just as, and their phrase was asinine. I hope it doesn't offend anybody because I said that word, but that's what they said, because they're like, we have, this is what Karen said, we have all this documentation from, you know, neurosurgeons, neurologists, all, you know, all the medications and the surgery you had done, and you have physicians saying you cannot return to work, but yet the Social Security disability is just like, well, we don't know what it is you have, we don't understand it, and there has to be some job you could do out there. And it's like, yeah, trying to get through each day is my job. That's what it is. And I was gonna say real quick too, when I do my videos, and like sometimes I'll pause or I'll do like a haul video or a tutorial video or something, there are times just to answer in case anybody later watching this is like, well, how can you do this stuff in helpless pain you say you have? Because when the camera turns off, I'm sitting in this chair and I cry, or I get up and I go in my room and I lay down for like a day or 2 or something, and then I'll get up. So something as simple as making a card that would take me, I don't know, 15 minutes or something. Sometimes that can take me 2 days because I have to work in like increments if I'm going to do that. Exactly. You know, so I just, because I have a, unfortunately I have this thing in me where I feel like I have to over-explain myself, or because I feel guilty about things, or I don't want people to think badly of me or anything. And so, you know, I worry too much about what other people.
Yeah, Abby, you got to get over that, honey. You got to get over that. If somebody's going to think badly of you, they just need to move on. You don't need to worry about it. This is Abby's life. This is a day in Abby's life. This is what you have to deal with. And if somehow that is bothersome to other people, then they just need to go on, because they're not walking in your shoes. They're not living your life. And their opinion, if people have opinions like that, sweetie, that's their opinion. That's not your opinion. That's theirs, so let them deal with it. That's not your issue. That's their issue.
Opinions are like belly buttons. Everybody's got them, and some of them stank.
Yeah, well, I'm not going with belly buttons. I'm going with something else.
I'm just trying to keep it cleaner. I'm just saying.
I heard that one.
But, you know, Abby, I have a question. Kind of back to the Social Security disability. Do you think that more needs to be done through the AMA as far as coding and documenting these disabilities, these neurological problems, so that it is more recognizable by Social Security?
Yes.
Is that a place to start petitioning to?
That's something I'm before I say 100%, that is something that I had somebody else actually suggest to me, was doing that. So that's kind of on one of my list of things to do. But absolutely, because the school district I worked for, I mean, that school, the district's been established for over 100 years. But when I was filling out my medical leave to go on for surgery, the HR department had said that they actually had to call, around to try to find out how do we enter this. Nobody's ever had this before, and so
Right.
it's just because it's just not so well known. And that's why awareness is key, is getting it out there so people understand what it is, hear what it is, and then more people can hopefully the medical professionals is really who needs to at least the ones from the people that I hear their stories. It hasn't been my experience, like I said, but for a lot of people it is.
This disability, and it is a disability, there's no getting around it. It is a disability, and it needs to be listed with the government as a disability so people can get help for it, because their lives are devastatingly affected by this, and you don't function on a day-to-day thing like people that are in very good health and go on, or it needs to be listed, it needs to be noticed. And I understand that they try and weed people out that are applying for benefits. I get this. I understand. We know there are lazy ass scammers out there, and I'm sorry, ladies, but that's how it is. If they would put as much energy into a real job as they do scamming the system, they would probably be running a company somewhere. But these people do exist, and because these people do exist, it makes people that are in Abby's situation, anybody's situation, it makes it harder, because you think you got to fill out all this paperwork, it's all this paperwork. You're dealing with pain, people that are in pain, they're sick, their heads are already done in. And you're asking them to go through this list and to make sure everything's checked, and make sure you have this information from this doctor, this information from that doctor. You're also weeding out the people that this benefit was created for. Because a lot of people don't have the stamina to sit there and do it.
It's exhausting, and thank goodness there are attorneys out there who will walk you through that process from the very beginning. I just did it myself because, like I said, I have a supportive spouse who is able to help me when I can't do it. But there are attorneys out there who specialize just in Social Security disability cases, and they will help you from the very beginning, because it is I can't even think of an example of how difficult it is they make it. I mean, like when they were getting some of my records from, they want, even if I went in to go pick up a prescription and it's noted that Abby was coming in to pick up a prescription, or my husband would, they wanted that piece of paper. It said that. Even I wasn't seeing nothing. They want every single thing, and that's fine. I'm fine to give it to them. And when we moved, I came to Florida with my records 100% in hand. I wasn't going to play around again. So when you get the application, it's like I said, the percentage from the research and what the attorneys say is that 95% are denied the first time, and then the second time you can file an appeal, and then they said that the denial rate is the same as the initial application. Don't be discouraged. I said you want to get to the hearing, because that's when you're in front of the judge, and you can be, and I wish it was like that to begin with. I wish you could either videotape, record yourself, or something, if you couldn't physically be in the same room as the decision makers, because it's so frustrating that I have two doctors that I had to see that don't know anything about me. This is what's so funny. The medical exam that they have you do is, they had it scheduled for Florida because we had moved here. So my husband took me to the appointment, and it was like the doctor, read through my stuff a little bit of the whole application that I had sent off months before, and he had me walk across the room, bend over, touch my finger to my nose, had asked if I had back pain, that kind of stuff. It was like I was getting a physical for like a job or something, and it had nothing to do with what I have. And I kept telling him that, and and then he wanted to do this thing where he wanted to touch my face because he was intrigued. He said that my face was numb from the half over, like he thinks I'm lying, like I have nothing better to do, I guess. And I told him, I said, please don't touch my face. And he goes, well, I can't do this if I can't touch your face. And I said, well, then you need to just know, because I said, it's not worth me getting a trigger flare because you have curiosity of
Right.
whether you feel something.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. And so
I would have told him, go ahead and pull back a numb.
that's what, well, my husband was getting ready
I'll have your finger over here.
And it's important, and I don't like being that way because I'm a really, I feel like I'm a really nice, I try to be nice to everybody and stuff, and I don't want to have an attitude or feel like you have to get to that level, but you really have to advocate for yourself, no matter what your ailment is, and it just makes it so difficult, and that's why a lot of people give up. Even if they claim, they just give up, and so I can't wait to get in front of the judge and talk to him.
Well, I had a similar experience with my son who's autistic and nonverbal. So, you know, trying to make my way through the red tape that ignorant asses that hold these positions, that should, I'm sorry, they should be out in the cornfield chopping down wheat because they don't belong around people. They just don't. And the ignorant, like the man, the doctor wanting, or whoever it was, wanting to touch your face. Give me a break.
I know.
You know? Like they wanted my son, and I'll never forget, because having gone to school for psychology, you learn a lot about medical coding and what's covered and what's not, and what's new and what should be new, and all of this, and you know, trying to find your way to that right person that understands what you have, what you need, and how to get you there is worse than trying to find a needle in a haystack. It is worse. Hours upon hours upon hours upon hours, endless aggravation. I went to trying to get my son SSI, and they did this dumbass, excuse my French, but I still am living, and this was a long time ago, wanted him to sign his name. Well, he can't sign his name. He doesn't even say his name. How is he going to sign? Well, then just have him put an X. He won't do that. There's
What was the point?
Yeah, exactly. And I said, he can't cross the midline of his body. Okay, he can't. That's just part of his disability. So then she goes, okay, well, you're not going to believe this. Take the pen and touch it to him, and then you sign his name.
What?
Yeah. So, Abby, I get it. I get what you're saying, because having gone through all of that with, and I have 2 children that had disabilities and had to fight. Like you said, you have to be an advocate.
And I'm sorry.
It is an uphill battle.
Yeah.
Uphill.
And my husband has taken over because it gets so exhausting to just repeat yourself and whatever. And you know, the more and more I talk, and it's unfortunate because like I shared before in the chat, one of my nicknames was Gabby Abby growing up, because I really like to talk and stuff. But I would get so frustrated that I felt like I couldn't even articulate what I was trying to say, because I'm like, how more, you know, I won't be negative. I'm just like frustrated. It's like, how can you not understand what I'm trying to say? You know, the record's right there in front of you. And so my husband is the one that does that for me, and I'm appreciative of that. And so, you know, for anybody who's watching this, maybe you're not married or something, a friend, you know, a neighbor, somebody, if you can trust somebody, you know, to do that, have them help you if you can, because it's so exhausting to try to do that.
Well, actually, now before we lost my sister-in-law, she was in the middle of filing for disability. It took like a year, I don't know, a little over a year or something for her to get to court. Okay, she did her paperwork and everything like you are and filling it out and everything else. When she got to court, the judge looked at her and said, "Hun, I'm going to set another court date with you, for you. Go get a lawyer. Don't come back without a lawyer." So honestly, it right now, don't even try and do it yourself. Go get a lawyer that specializes in it, in disability, and let them do it, because the judge sent her home. Wouldn't look at her case, wouldn't look at anything that she's going through, All he wanted to know was who your lawyer was. She didn't have one. He sent her home with a new court date.
Yeah. And that's,
you know,
that's the level where you have to be, because there have been, I don't know the numbers, I don't keep track of that, but I have seen a handful of people in the 4 or 5 different Facebook groups, support groups I'm in, where people have been awarded Social Security disability, and some people, it's taken them up to 4 years to get that. But people who have trigeminal neuralgia, so it's not going to be like I'm the first person to ever get it if I do or whatever, that has it, because there are people who've gone before me who have, but they make you work for it, for sure.
You got to work harder than other people do, because it's not listed somewhere in somebody's notes. Yeah. And I understand that, like we were touching on earlier about the scammers and everything. I understand that. I understand that we don't have unlimited resources too.
Right.
But what I do understand is that we have so many illegal immigrants running loose in this country and in our penal system and stuff. Okay, ship them home, ship them all home, take away their food stamps, take away their doctor care rights, take away their housing money, ship them home to their own countries, and let's take care of ours first. Okay, you're saying our resources are tied up. Give our resources back to our people. Okay, I'm sorry, but to me, Abby and people like Abby should be entitled to them resources than some illegal immigrant sneaking in through the border, under the border, on a boat, and then sticking their child in a school system, and then all of a sudden, they're eligible for food stamps, they're eligible for Medicare, they're eligible for whatever. No, sorry. Illegal is illegal. Put them with their parents, send them home. Because I'm sorry, Americans need to come first in America. Let's take our resources back and let's give them to people that actually, truly need them.
And that's,
I paid my taxes in. I paid my taxes in. I worked, I paid my taxes in. I want Abby to have access to the taxes that I paid in to you. Okay, I want people in Abby's situations to have access to my taxes that I paid in to them, because they are American citizens and they cannot do this on their own. They need our help. So I want my taxes that I worked for, that I got up every morning and went to work and pulled 8, 10, 12-hour day shifts, depending on what that job needed at the time. I want my resources to go towards other Americans. Now that's how I feel.
And that's some of the reports from some of the ladies in the groups where they've said that when they get into, and most people will go to their urgent cares or emergency rooms or something because they can't get in with a regular doctor, and they get told that that the resources are just overextended or the waiting rooms are just too full. We can't see you because we don't know what you have. It doesn't whatever, and for what, and nobody, and everybody's medical thing is important. I'm not trying to say this is
right
more important, whatever, but it's just because the resources are just so overspent, for sure.
No, Moppy. Abby does need a lawyer. She does not want to take Karen. Because if Karen's Irish,
I don't think that. What'd she say?
She said, Abby, you don't need a lawyer for this. Just take Karen. If my Irish gets raised, somebody may need bail money to get us both back out. Okay.
Well, let's just say that what you're seeing in Karen is exactly what my husband is doing for me. So
yeah,
because stress makes it worse, and it's not that I can't defend myself, but it's just you get so stinking mad, because you're frustrated.
You get tired.
Mm-hmm.
You get tired.
Yeah.
Can I show you guys something real quick?
Sure.
This is a shirt that I had made last year, and then I have one made for my husband too. But this is it's this website, and I can link it on my channel. I'm trying to remember, but you can get any kind of a cause. It doesn't have to be what I have. But mine just says, is it backwards or can you see it?
No, we can see it.
No, we can see it.
And so it
Oh,
had,
spackle head.
yeah,
I
you can put your surgery date, which I did, and then you can kind of, it's a really easy website where you can move the graphics around and you can put your name in. And my husband's shirt, you know, says proud support of my wife, Abby Henderson, something like that. But yeah, the spackle head, because that's what they call us.
That is so cute. I love that. Yeah, if you
Okay,
could use that
Abby,
link.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
That website, when you do that, does that go towards anything, the money?
For this one, it did specifically. I remember that it did because that's why I wanted to go there. Now, I know there are other sites like you can get like fundraising T-shirts for just like school or whatever. That money goes to that entity, I think, or maybe that school. I don't know, but I will definitely look into that because I know there's other ones that you can get those shirts from. But the reason I went with that company is because part of the money, and just like that medal that I bought too, and I put up a video on my channel yesterday, and I flipped my camera and I clicked to the website with all of you. But this is that medal I got in the mail. It's from the racesforawareness.com, and they have a ton of different charities and causes like breast cancer. They have something for the Boston Marathon, you know, for the people that were killed during that whole thing. And the proceeds from this, I paid $25 for it plus shipping, and I would pay $100 for it because all the money goes to my cause. And you know, and we donate stuff to other causes, breast cancer, because of my mom, and then my husband's lost family from breast cancer, and then my biological father, who's African American, heart disease is rampant in African Americans, and I've been on blood pressure pills 2 a day since I was 18, and so heart disease is a big thing for us too. But so there are other sites in resources where you can buy things. You can get a physical item like that if you want, or you can just do a straight up flat donation, and that money can go to what charity you want it to go to. And that website will show you how much has been raised for that campaign and everything. So
Awesome.
Okay.
yeah, so
Okay.
I learned that just last week from somebody sharing it. So I didn't even know about it. I didn't know it existed. So
That's awesome.
Well,
So if you could share that with us, that would be great. So
yeah, I
that,
can do that.
If you would put that in the group when you feel up to it,
Okay.
because you have all that information, just put it all together, compile it all in a thing and put it in our group. Just post it. That would be wonderful. And then anything you find out that comes in, we can add specifically to that post then.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Okay. Yeah.
And ladies, Abby has been gracious enough to post her video links and her information, a lot of information on TN that we've been reading up on, just so that we've had some general idea. And you can go into the group and you can read about this. Abby has shared a lot of information. Her videos are out there. So I encourage you to watch them, share them, spread the information that Abby has given us, and let us, you know, as a group, try to spread awareness. And, you know, and I'm thinking we need to start petitioning the AMA to do more for people with these types of disabilities that are just
Okay.
overlooked.
Wait a minute. I have a question for AMA because what I know of AMA has to be totally different than what you're talking about. So what is your AMA?
American Medical Association.
Okay, mine is American Motorcycle.
No, American Medical Association.
I come from racing background.
Yeah.
So the first time you said AMA, I was like,
Maybe
wait, what? What?
Maybe we could get it to put it on their leathers or something. You know.
And see, and the cool thing too, if you ladies if you want to check out her channel too, BC Doula, she just posted a video on her channel yesterday, kind of her story of trigeminal neuralgia. But when you share, whether it's my videos or it's a link that I shared, or maybe Monica shared, or whoever, you might be sharing it on your page, and maybe somebody you're friends with or a friend of a friend, maybe they have it and they're like, oh my gosh, there's a community out there for this or whatever. You know, I've had a lot of people come to my channel because of I purposely label my trigeminal neuralgia or like brain surgery so people can find, those are kind of the most common keyword searches for it. So I made a playlist just for that stuff so people who are not crafters don't have to weed through all my crafty stuff. But I've had a lot of them contact me and say, you know, asking about the different support groups on Facebook that I've mentioned and things like that. And so I'll either email it to them or I'll put it in the comment and let them know what the Facebook groups are. Now they're private, so you have to be added because obviously they're trying to weed out people who are just trying to cause trouble or whatever. But there are a ton, and there's even a specific group for anesthesia dolorosa, and there's not very many of us, and there's only 36 people, because this is not common. So you never know. By you sharing something, it can trigger maybe 10 people down the road or something. You don't know. That's how I found out about that medal, because I had no clue that website even existed. And I think it's, I want to do something for breast cancer for my mom. I think that's wonderful. That's just one of knows how many websites.
I have a question for you, hon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait a minute. Oh, my thing's jumping around. So where did it go? Michi wanted to know. Let me find it. Is there a hospital or university that is tracking those that have TN, Abby, since it is so rare?
There are, and one of them is OHSU, because that's where I was at. They actually had me sign some additional paperwork if I was okay with it, because they were trying to see if there's some genetic cause for this. Is it more prevalent in African Americans, Asians, that kind of a thing, like, and so they did some, I can't remember what it was called, but essentially it was some type of a DNA sample they did when they were doing my surgery. And I said, absolutely, and it's all confidential, of course. They don't like to put my name in a picture of the book, which I wouldn't care if they did, but they don't. But so I know that hospital does there. And I know that the Mayo Clinic is one I've heard from in the different groups I'm in. I know there's more, I just can't think off the top of my head, but there are places that do track that research. And Dr. Burchell, that's the surgeon I saw, it's a male. He is, like I said, one of the best ones to see. There's a book, and I forgot to bring it in here, I can show you the cover, but it's called Striking Back, and people with TN call it the Bible for TN people. I don't say that because I don't like to compare anything to the Bible. The Bible to me is the Bible, but I see what like the guidebook, so to speak. So Dr. Jeanette is the one who wrote the book. He's the one that originated the brain surgery procedure. Dr. Burchell also has some content inside that book, and then he goes around all over the country and even into Europe. He was in Europe earlier this year because they're trying to gather research and trying to collect that data that she was asking about, to see if it's, maybe is it seem to be in a certain population, or is it a certain race of people, or is it a certain age group, or whatever, because they don't know. But the Facial Pain Association is probably the most, what's what I'm looking for, reliable, I guess, website you can go to, because sometimes you can go to sites and it's not accurate information. But the Facial Pain Association is one of them that has a lot of information on there.
Okay. Can you include that link then with your post?
Yes, I will.
That would be great. Okay, ladies, it's actually going on 12:30. We've run over a half hour.
Abby? Sorry.
No, Abby, it was worth it. You're worth it. We think you're worth it. We think your cause is worth it. So that's not a problem there. We love you, hon. Just know that. We love you.
Thank you very much. And I want to, just real quick, I just want to thank everybody. I can't see the chat, but I want to thank all you ladies have been saying such nice things and supportive. I appreciate that. And I want to thank Robin and Karen especially for giving me this platform to help spread awareness about that. This is huge, you guys. You have no idea
We're glad to do it.
How much I appreciate this. So thank you so very much.
Yes, and you have to go get your daughter.
Ask me questions in the group. I'm open. If you want to talk to me privately, I'm totally fine with that. If you guys have questions, or maybe something I said didn't make sense, or I have no problem talking to you guys about anything. So
thank you, Abby. Thank you for being here. I know this was not easy for you, and we all agree you're a super warrior, and
yes.
We're inspired by you, Abby. I want you to know that we're inspired. Kick those excuses to the curb that I find I'm using every day for not getting stuff done. I'm going to think of you, my dear friend. I'm going to think of what you go through on a daily basis and say, get off your butt and get it done, girl. Just get it done. Get her done.
Get her done, yeah.
Get her done. So thank you so much, Abby. God bless you, and we're going to keep you in our prayers. We're going to keep praying for a cure. And just know that we're all behind you and we support you. Okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank
And
you.
thank you so much for joining us.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I don't want to end just yet, Robin.
Oh, okay.
I have a few other things to say. I am going to, again, I am going to ask special prayers. If our prayer warriors are out there, if you will, of course, keep Abby in the condition that affects other people, if you will keep them in her prayers. We ask that you keep Jenny, Susan, Linda, Sylvia, Pamela, sorry, and Susan Newbigging. I think I said Susan twice. So Susan, you're going to get double prayers, my friend. If you will keep them in your prayers. And of course, Robin and I, we would appreciate it if you would include us in your prayers, because I'm going to tell you, Robin needs all the praying she can get. No, I'm kidding. But love you, Robin.
Guys, you make me laugh.
I guess we had that coming because the last couple of days I've kind of thrown Karen under the bus, so I guess that was kind of a payback a little bit. So
yeah, Karen
but
gets hers in when she can.
I know you got another one coming, sister. You know.
Okay.
You know.
There is one special. Okay, if I can get through this, I'll be fine. I am on all seriousness now. I am going to ask prayers for a young girl. She's a young lady. She is under the age. She is still a minor, so her name or anything like that will not be mentioned here at this time. But I was contacted by a friend that is aware of this child in her life, and she was diagnosed yesterday with breast cancer at the age of 16. So I am asking for unspoken prayers for this young lady, because her life is just starting. And we need to hold her up to God. So if you would please put her at the top of your list, I would appreciate it. I'm sure my friend that made me aware of it, that would ask if I would include her in my prayers, and her family and the young lady herself, I know that they would appreciate it. It's a hard thing to deal with. I can only imagine as a mother what her mom has to be going through, let alone what this young lady has to be going through. So if you will please include her in your prayers. And there was one other thing that I wanted to bring up, and okay. Oh yes, our sister channel, May and Angela, we'd like to show some support for them. They have started on a new
Chasing
started on a new path, chasing the chatter. I think that's such an appropriate name. I love the word chatter. That just brings happiness right away into your world. They go live every, let me look now, ladies, because
Monday and Friday.
No, she said it was
Monday and Thursday. I'm sorry.
Mondays and Thursdays,
yes,
at 7 p.m. except for this Friday, or except for this week, they are doing it Friday. Okay, so everybody make sure their channel is going to cover everything under the sun. Their channel happens to cover living life. It's just life, a daily basis, what they do, you know, what we all do for living life. I mean, it's going to cover, yes, it's going to cover cooking, it's going to cover makeup, it's going to cover, what else, Robin?
Lifestyles, home decor, just whatever pops into their little heads, it's going to cover it. And
Homecoming.
guarantee you, it's going to be fun.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of laughs. It is a lot of laughs, and
I've
that's
enjoyed it already.
We need laughter. And one
Yes.
last thing, if we could all just pray together for everyone who is in the path of this storm. Pray for Abby and those that are
My family.
in harm's way. Maybe if we pray enough and loudly and strongly and together, we can get the Lord to push his mighty hand and push that storm right out to sea. And, you know, that would be a blessing. But please know that all of you who are in harm's way, we're praying for you. We're keeping you in mind. And Abby, if you would please keep us posted
Absolutely.
on your status, because we're going to be nervous. We're mamas. We get nervous.
I know. I'm nervous too. I mean, I've lived in Oregon my entire life, and we've been here for just almost 4 months, and it's like, oh, you know. But I absolutely will keep everybody. I'll keep everybody posted for sure. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay.
and also,
Go ahead.
also, Angela has a Pampered Chef party that she's doing too online. And Moppy says, God bless you, Moppy. I just love you. I will be walking away from this chat much more humble and unselfish than when it started.
Oh, Moppy.
Yeah.
Moppy, that's such a sweet thing to say.
Yeah, don't make me start crying again.
I know. I'm trying. I got to go pick up my daughter from school. I'm like, I can't be crying.
Okay, we're going to end this because I know that Abby does have to go, and I'm sure she's, you know, wanting to keep track of what's going on out there because they did cancel school for her daughter.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So, you know, we're going to let you go, Abby. We're going to let all of you ladies go, but God bless you, Abby, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you so
I
much.
love you all. Mwah.
Bye, guys. See you
Bye.
Friday.